There was one Twilight Zone that pushed the limit and was immediately banned. What was that controversial episode? We'll talk about that today, but first a little about the man behind the curtain. Rod Serling captured the imagination with a show like no other. You knew you were about to enter a realm beyond the ordinary, or as he said, a dimension where sight, sound, and thought merge into the unknown. It was a place where imagination knows no bounds. This was the Twilight Zone intro known to most. It was creepy, but yet pulled you in. So, with these words, Rod Serling introduced what would become one of the most iconic television series of all time, The Twilight Zone. So influential was the series that it has been revived 3 times on television, and even adapted into a feature film. Rod Serling, born on December 25, 1924, was encouraged by his parents to pursue creative endeavors from a young age. He often staged plays in the family basement for friends and relatives. In high school, Serling wrote for the school newspaper and developed a reputation as a social activist. Though he had a passion for sports, his small stature kept him off the varsity football team. Serling's love for radio, particularly horror shows, sparked his interest in storytelling. After high school, he enlisted in the military during World War II, where he served in the Philippines. His wartime experiences profoundly influenced his later writing, often focusing on the themes of death and fate. Serling's harrowing experiences in combat, including witnessing a tragic accident that claimed the life of a fellow soldier, left lasting scars on his psyche. He channeled these experiences into his writing, using them as a way to cope with his trauma. Death was always a recurring theme in his program, as it was no surprise what he had lived through. After the war, Serling pursued a career in broadcasting and theater, eventually creating The Twilight Zone. The show, which explored the human condition through science fiction and fantasy, became a critical success, earning Serling multiple Emmy Awards. Although the series faced challenges, including budget cuts and changes in network leadership, it remains a timeless piece of television history. But what episode was banned for 52 years and has now come to light? That episode is titled The Encounter. The 151st episode of The Twilight Zone, titled The Encounter, is based on a story by Rod Serling with a teleplay by American screenwriter and novelist Martin M. Goldsmith. Directed by Robert Butler, who also worked on shows like Batman, Star Trek, and The Fugitive, the episode first aired on May 1, 1964. However, due to its controversial racial themes, it was banned from TV syndication for over 50 years, finally airing on January 1, 2016, during a Twilight Zone marathon on the Sci-Fi Channel. In this episode, George Takei, well known for his role as Mr. Sulu on Star Trek, portrays a Japanese-American named Takamori. His character encounters racial hostility from Fenton, a World War II veteran. The episode's racial overtones led to its long-term ban. The story revolves around a samurai sword that Fenton had taken from a Japanese soldier he killed during the war. The sword appears to have a strange influence on Takamori, leading to a tragic confrontation. Fenton accidentally falls on the sword and dies, after which Takamori takes the sword and jumps out of a window, ending his life. The Twilight Zone aired for 5 seasons from 1959 to 1964, receiving critical acclaim but only modest ratings. After 156 episodes and 3 cancellations, Rod Serling, who had grown weary of the show, chose not to fight the network's decision to cancel it. He eventually sold the rights to CBS, partly because the show often exceeded its budget, and he doubted it could recover the production costs. This marked the end of the original run of what is arguably one of the greatest television anthology series ever created. Rod Serling's legacy lives on through The Twilight Zone, a testament to his storytelling genius and his ability to tap into the deepest fears and hopes of humanity. What's your favorite Twilight Zone episode?